Hello, in this tutorial I'm going to be showing you how to recode age into 4 categories of age groups. It's originally an age interval variable at the moment. I'm in the MCIC dataset, and step 1, I always run a frequency for the original variable to see what it is that I'm looking at. I'm not going to bother with any particular statistics. I'm going to paste that into my syntax. Everybody should know that I like working in my syntax. Run that. Don't mind some of that other stuff up above. And if I want to make 4 even groups, here's the age output. I'm going to be looking to see where the cumulative percentage splits. So I'm going to be looking here for about where the first 25% is. And it looks like it's over here around 30, 31. Okay, I'm not going to go quite to 25, so I'll chop it before. And I'm going to do, it starts at 14, so I'm going to do 14 to 31 as my first option. I'll go ahead and write that down. Put my little notepad into view here. I'm going to say 14, 31, and I'm going to make that a 1. It's going to be my first group. I'm going to look in the second portion here. So, okay, where does it split for 50%? Okay, at about 48, 49%. It's at 41 to 42. Okay, so I'm going to do 41. I'm going to say age is 32 to 41. You're going to equal 2. And I'm going to keep going down a little bit more until I get to about the 75% marker at the cumulative. Here I am, 74.7. That's about good enough for me. And I break it at 54 years of age. So I'm going to do 42 through 54 years of age. That's going to become my third group. Then I'm going to go ahead and see where the rest of this goes here. Years of age, so we're starting at 55. And I'm going to take it through 98 because I'm going to remove the people who said they didn't know. So I'm just going to say 55 through 98, and they're going to be my fourth group. Alright, so now, since I'm going to show you in this version to do it through the menus, I'm going to go up to Transform. I'm going to go into Recode Different. Notice that there's a Recode Same and Recode Different. Always do the Recode Different unless you know what you're doing with the Same, which I'm not even going to go into and tell you about because I don't want you to do it. Do the Recode Different variables. This is going to pop up a little command here. I'm just going to reset this from anything that I had before. Like I said in my other tutorials, if you're on default settings, you're going to have the variable labels listed right here. I find it easier to work with the variable names, so right-click, display variable names if you don't have that already set by default. I'm going to look for age in my list, bring it over, and the first thing I have to do is tell it what is my new variable name going to be, since I'm recording this into a different variable. Just as a quick habit here, I look over to the side, and there is no case sensitivity. It doesn't matter if it's uppercase or lowercase. But if my original data set is all lowercase, I like to make it uppercase. And vice versa. If it's all uppercase, I like to make it lowercase. That just helps make it pop and stick out in case you're looking for it in a long list of variables. You can call it whatever you want. I'm just going to call mine age 4, because I happen to be making it into 4 groups. Sometimes a popular thing is to do like age R or underscore R to say it's a recode, but I'm just going to call mine age 4. The name up here can be letters or numbers, but it cannot have symbols or spaces in there. Okay? The label down here is just going to call it whatever we want, and this one can have symbols and spaces and whatnot. I'm just going to say age in 4 groups. Then I'm going to go ahead and click this button change. It's going to insert the name of my new variable up there saying age 01 is going to become age 4. We're not going to lose age 01. It's going to stay in the data set because we're recoding as a different variable. Go down here and click this old and new values. We're going to get this little box up here. This is going to ask us, what are we going to do with the values we had? And that's where my little notepad here with my instructions is going to come along handy. Okay, I'm just going to tuck that down there so I can, I guess that's still not quite good enough. I'll just have to refer back and forth to it here. Now, my options here, these are the old values, what are the original values. This is what we're going to do with them, and here is our instruction list. Value over here allows us to change one value at a time. Now, my age value has a lot of different values, and I could do it this way, but it would be very time consuming. This says what to do with the system missing or the system user missing. The difference between these, system missing is what SPSS automatically puts into the missing values. System or user missing are ones that we indicate as user missing, and you can have up to 3 of these, but that's another topic. Range indicates set number through another number and all the values in between. This is actually the one we're going to be using here in just a moment. Range lowest indicates whatever number you plug in here, such as if I was to put 15, this would start with value 15 all the way to the very lowest value that is in the data set for that particular variable. So if we started with 1 to 15, it would do 1 through 15. Conversely, the same thing goes for the highest. If I had 40, it would count from 40 all the values to the highest one. You have to be careful though with these lowest and highest, because if the data set has values in there that are currently missing and you indicate this with them, it's going to pull those in, such as in this data set we had 998 with the highest. If I would have put in here 55 through highest, it's going to include that 998 those don't know people. I don't want that, so I'm not going to be doing that. And all other values will just capture everybody else. So I'm going to do the range, and our first value is 14, and I said it was through 31, and I said that I'm going to call them value 1. When you put it in a value up here, your buttons on the side then appear. You can add that in, and here's my first set of instructions. 14 to 31 will become value 1. Just to let you know, over here the other options you could include are system missing, which means any remaining values are going to become system missing and not in the valid group. Copy old values just means whatever you indicate over here, keep those values the same. So if I would have had 14 to 31 and clicked copy, that's going to maintain 14 to 31 in my new set series. My next group is 32 through 41. I'm going to call them group 2. My next range is 42 through 54. I'm going to call them group 3. Add it in. Then I'm going to do 55 through 98. Remember, I'm not doing 55 through the highest because that's going to automatically include that 998 value, which was the don't knows. I didn't want them, so I'm just going to do this range and say this is my value 4. And then this should be fine. If you're a little nervous about things, you could go ahead and click all other values, system missing, and it'll automatically kick it out. But the way SPS is structured is this will be just fine. Any other values that you do not indicate here at the moment, it'll go ahead and make them system missing for you. So at this point, you can go ahead and just click continue. If you made an error, you can go ahead and click on one of them, and you can change it. So if I want to make this 5, I could do that, change it to say 5. Oh, that's a mistake. I have to go back and change it to be 4. So I'll change that back to 4, click change again, and there I am. If I wanted to remove one, I could click it, click remove, and it'll remove it entirely. But I'm going to go ahead and click continue. And then I'm going to go ahead and click paste. It's going to put that into my syntax for me. If this was a homework assignment, I would be going ahead and putting in some notes here. Be like, age recode into 4 groups, period. That tells me what I did here. And I'm going to go ahead and run it. This currently does not have value labels on here. going to make another video in just a moment to show you how we do the value labels, but I'm just going to go ahead and run this. And if you've done it correctly, what's going to show up in the output is just a copy of the syntax. Notice how it says recode variable labels execute. That's going to match the syntax itself. Recode variable labels execute. That lets you know you did a good job, and you now have a new variable in your data set. It's not going to run a frequency. You have to go back and tell it to do that separately. But if I'm in my data set here, go all the way down to the variable view, all the way down to the end. Oop. There is age 4, age in 4 groups, and notice there are no values in there as yet. We'll come back and explore that in just a moment in a separate video. But I'm going to go ahead and run a new frequency for this new variable, descriptives frequencies. I'll go ahead and reset that. Again, if you have yourself in file order, any new variables that you've recoded, computed, etc. will automatically be down at the bottom for you. Bring that over, paste that in. I could go ahead and... Now notice my syntax disappeared. That happens because if I left this selected and I put in new code, it just overrode it. Excuse me. So let me go ahead and just set this up again. Paste. There it is. Now I have both of them maintained. Run it. And here you see age in 4 groups, relatively evenly distributed, almost 25% across the board. You can see over here in the cumulatives, almost 25, almost 50, almost 75, and then 100. But we don't have the value names in here. The separate video is going to go ahead and show you how to do it, to add the value labels.